Welcome and hello. This is a video tutorial in HEC HMS, and in this lesson, I'm going to be discussing meteorological models, specifically a precipitation method called gridded precipitation. All right, so what I have on the screen here is my HMS, and I'm in version 4.12. I have one basin created in my basin model with three subbasins, 1, 2, and 3 right here. Next, I need to create my meteorological model, and then we will set that precipitation method to gridded precipitation. So to do that, I'll go up to Components, Meteorological Model Manager, New. I'll just use the name Met1, Create, and then Close. Now up here in my Watershed Explorer, I have Met1 for meteorological models, and then down here in Precipitation, it started me off with the default specified hyetograph precipitation method. I'm going to use gridded precipitation right here. Next, what I want to do is select the basins, and for some reason that tab disappeared on me, so let me just repeat that process real quick here. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to delete my meteorological model. Okay, sorry folks. Components, boom. Okay, there it is. I was looking for this basins tab before and it disappeared on me. So maybe there's something I did wrong. But anyway, as soon as I create a meteorological model, I need to get in the habit of selecting the basin, basin one. So that's my only basin. And then to include subbasins, I'm just going to change this drop down value to yes and click save. All right, let's go back to the meteorology model tab and then select the precipitation, gridded precipitation, and save. Now, if you're looking in the Watershed Explorer, you may have noticed that I do not have gridded precipitation data for each subbasin. This is a precipitation method that only has model-wide parameter data. So I click on gridded precipitation up here, this icon, and now I get to define my parameter data, which is the precipitation grid itself. If I hover over, it's called precipitation data grid name required. After that, time shift method and transpose. The gridded precipitation method was developed to be used with radar-based precipitation estimates. It was also designed to be used with the Maud-Clark transform method, which would be if I click subbasin and then transform method, transform method is Maud-Clark right here. So it can be used with Maud-Clark, but it can also be used for other area average transform methods as well. Okay, so we want to select our precipitation grid, and I don't have any defined yet, so that's why this drop down is none, and also why I can't click this button. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go up to Components, and then Grid Data Manager. Precipitation grid is the one we want. That's the first one here on the list, and then click New. Then give it a name, and the description is optional, so I'll just click Create, and then close that up. All right, now down here in my grid, I can select Precip 1. Also, if I click this button to the right, it would list out all the grids I have plus the description, which may be helpful if you have lots of grids, and it may make it easier to find the grid you're looking for. In the Watershed Explorer, I now have a grid data directory, a precipitation grid set directory inside that, and then here is my precipitation grid. As is the case with gridded data sets, we can define it using a DSS record or multiple DSS records based on this selection here. Then we would navigate to our DSS file. I'm not going to do that right now, but once we do, then we would select this button here and select the specific path in that DSS file that represents our precipitation grid data. Also, we can define the storm center in XY coordinates and then go back to our grid data and make that assignment. Usually this precipitation grid set is generated outside of HMS using radar data, but it could be created using other computational tools. All right, the next parameter here is time shift method. Now, our options here represent none, normalized start, and user defined. So none is the default, and this is probably the most common selection. This would be used when there's no time shift required, which would be the case if all your data happens to be synced up properly as far as being in the right time zone and just having the correct start time, which kind of alludes to the next option, which is normalized start. Normalized start adjust the time of the first grid in the grid set to start at the same time as the simulation. So for whatever reason, your precipitation starts an hour or two or a day or whatever after the simulations start, that correction will be made here by selecting Normalize Start for your time shift method. The last option is user specified, and if we select this option, we get a new field for time shift in hours. So we can just toggle the number up or down, and it can be negative. This represents a time zone shift correction. So if your precipitation grid is stored with a time zone offset, then that correction needs to be made by adjusting this number here. The user's manual mentions that if the precipitation grid set is set to the Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, but the time zone of your model is in the Western Hemisphere, then you want to use a positive time shift. However, if your model is in the Eastern Hemisphere, you would want to use a negative time shift here. The last parameter is transpose, yes or no. So if you select no, that's the default value. That just basically means that there's no shift in the precipitation grid. However, if you select yes, this allows you to transpose your precipitation grid. Transpose allows the user to shift the storm from one area to another nearby area, which may be necessary if that second area has missing data and if its precipitation characteristics are similar to the first area. So what we need to do here is type in some numbers for the distance that precipitation grid would shift. And I'm just typing in some numbers here. I would probably assume that these numbers should be an integer multiple of the cell size so that there's no gaps or overlaps when using this precipitation data adjacent to other precipitation data. The user's manual mentions that in HMS version 4.12, which is what I'm in here, that these X and Y coordinates are assumed to be the same coordinate system as the meteorological model. Also, if using transpose, we have a grid bias or a bias grid option that we can select. But if we want to apply a bias, we would do so using this dropdown. This bias grid allows the users to adjust the precipitation grid values based on a specific bias. Now, whatever that bias happens to be isn't really important. It allows the user the flexibility to adjust the values according to their wishes. We need to create a grid, and to do that, we'd go up to Components, Grid Data Manager. Now, instead of selecting Precipitation Grid Set, we want to go down to Precipitation Normal Grids and then click New. I'm going to give it a name here, Precip Bias 1, and then Create. And then here we have a Precip Normal Grids, and then we can define that grid the same way we did with the other grid data set. So no need to go into details there. Back to our bias grid selection, we can now make that selection from the dropdown. What's going to happen here is the precipitation value will be divided by the grid bias or the bias grid value for that same cell location. So the coordinates need to line up. And if there is a transpose, then that bias value would then be multiplied. The user's manual would probably explain it better than I did. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up an example, and I will leave a link to this page in the description of this video. But what it does to explain this is pretty well here. First, let me show you the precipitation grid. So this is the original precipitation grid here on the screen. Hopefully you can see it. It's a 3x3 grid, and it's referencing this lower left corner as kind of like the anchor point as being the 1-1 location, where this would be 2-2 and then 3-3. So this is the original precipitation grid, just using very small, simple integer numbers for the sake of understanding it. Up here, we have what they're calling the bias grid. So this is a 6x6 grid cell, and they're also saying this lower left corner is referenced to the 1-1 cell grid location. And then the top right would be 6-6, where this value of 4 would be 3-3. So the overlap of the precipitation grid in its original location would overlap the bias grid in this lower left-hand corner, the sort of the lower fourth or the quarter quadrant down here. All right, so what it says happens is this bias correction begins by dividing the precipitation grid divided by the bias grid. So what that would look like, let me try to get both on screen here in the same view. Okay, sort of. The lower left starts with 2 in the precipitation grid. It's divided by the 2 in the bias grid, and that would result in 1. The same thing happens with the next cell over. It's 2 divided by 2. And then the next cell after that, it would be 1 precipitation divided by 2 bias for a resulting precipitation grid of 1/2. So let's go ahead and peek down at those three values. And as it explains right here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Same thing here. And then 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. So you can go ahead and confirm the other 6 values if you wish. But then what it says is there's a transpose of 3 cells up and over. So up and to the right. So if we go back to our original bias grid, our precipitation grid was overlapping these 9 cells, but if we shift our anchor cell of 1, 1 up to 4, 4, now that would be overlapping these 9 cells up here. And instead of dividing, we would now multiply. So what was 1 and then a 1/2, we'd be multiplying that 1 by 2. So that would be 2, 1 by 4, which would be 4, and then the 1/2 by 4, which would be 2. See if I did that right. So yeah, now we're doing the multiplication. So here's 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 4 is 4, and then 1/2 times 4 is 2. So anyway, I will leave a link to this discussion in this page in the description. You can check it out for yourself. At the bottom here, it does show the original precipitation grid, and then after the translation and the bias correction, the final precipitation grid right here. All right, well, that was it for our discussion here on meteorological models, specifically the gridded precipitation. We talked about the different parameters used for this precipitation model.